Hello, I am Fair Sheikh, and I'm here to present to you about Amos and Andy. Amos and Andy was a sitcom radio show set in Harlem, which was the historical center of African American culture in New York City. The radio broadcasted um, it started in 1928 and became very popular amongst home and families. The men who started the radio show were the actors Freeman Godson and Andrew Hogg Brown. Later, the radio show became a television sitcom, and black actors took over the roles instead. Amos and Andy became one of the first comedy shows to originate from station WMAQ, which was located in Chicago. Amos and Andy, the radio series, ran in the evening from 1928 to 1943. The actual sitcom began 1954 and ran into 1960. The show aired on CBS in 1951 and continued to premiere until 1953. Different television studios ran reruns of the show until 1966. In 2012, the show aired again, but only the reruns were shown, but the audience still loved to rewatch the show. And Gots, Go- Gosden and Carell were the white actors who were familiar with the African American culture. The two met in Durham, North Carolina in the year 1920. Both both men had some experience in radio, but not until 1925 that the two appeared on the Chicago's WJQ station. Here is Freeman Gosden and Charles Carell. Moving on to source two, the the their appearances soon led to a regular scheduled show on another Chicago radio station, which was WEBH. The only thing they were getting paid for their for their work at the time was a free meal. The pair hoped that the radio exposure would lead to working on stage and appearing on television and not just the radio station. Soon they were led to jobs at the Chicago Tribune station, WGN, in 1925. This offer let them become full-time broadcasters. WMAQ, the Chicago daily news station, hired Gostin and Corell and their former WGN announcer Bill Hay to recreate a similar series called Sam and Henry. It offered salaries more than WGN, as well all the right to pursue the syndication idea. The creators later said that the named African Americans greet each other by those names in a Chicago elevator. Gostin and Carell provided over 170 male voiceovers. Amos and Andy had plenty of cliffhanger endings that kept the audience on suspense. By the end of 1928, at least 70 stations were airing the show. Amos and Andy were like other sitcoms that were beginning to become very popular in the U.S. sitcoms. They soon took over the television industry because of how popular they were. Amos and Andy spread across the U.S. after the first airing in Chicago, like skyrocketed. Here's some pictures of the actors and the Moving on to source 3, Amos and Andy is about two African American men named Amos Jones and Andy Brown. They both lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and they wanted to move to Chicago for a better life. There are a total of 52 episodes that aired from Amos and Andy, and Amos and Andy were sold to CBS for $2.5 million. Amos and Andy like took place around the time of the Nickel Boys, and the Nickel Boys have main characters that are African American, and they can relate to the show Amos and Andy in ways. Before the sitcom officially aired, Gostin and Carell spent 4 years searching for cast members. They wanted to make sure the show would be adequate and didn't want to make sure they didn't wanted to make sure it didn't lose its popularity. CBS hired two of the two producers for the new show, even though they wouldn't really be casted in the show, but the two producers helped create the shows. And this is my references, and that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in.